Hello, guys. I've never been sure about telling this story. It still gives me chills every time I think about it. This happened in the Amazon, on the border between Brazil and Peru. The jungle was beautiful, wild, green, full of life. Everyone in the village knew each other. We were a tight-knit group of kids, all ages. The only real danger we were warned about, the armed groups, terrorists, that roamed the deeper parts of the region. I was 7 years old when it happened. We were allowed to play freely, as long as we never went near the terrorist zones, and absolutely never left the village at night. Our parents taught us early how to hide, how to run, and when not to ask questions. One evening, the adults were celebrating. Some sort of Amazonian party, similar to Halloween. My mother painted her face with tribal patterns and danced with the others. Us kids were sent to a house to stay safe, supervised by a 17-year-old girl. But the moment the adults left, she ditched us for her friends. There were 6 of us. The oldest, Leon, was 14. He was reckless but brave, and we all trusted him. He kept us laughing, always came up with challenges, and deep down we knew he'd never let anything happen to us. Bored, one of the girls, Carla, suggested we paint our faces and dress up like the jungle kids from the deep tribes. We did. Then Leon grinned and said, "Let's explore the Amazon and find hidden treasure." We all cheered. Leon found a lantern and a boat. No adults, no phones, just 6 kids on a nighttime river adventure, paddling into the jungle dressed like spirits of the forest. It was pure childhood magic. Until it wasn't. Suddenly, a light in the distance. A boat was approaching. Leon dropped the lantern. "Get down, don't move," he whispered. We flattened ourselves to the floorboards, barely breathing. Then a voice. "Stop hiding. I see you." 4 men with guns appeared. Flashlights pointed at us. They laughed. "Just some tribal kids," one said. Leon stood tall. "We're heading home. Our parents are waiting." One of them, a big man with a red bandana, laughed darkly. "You know, kids disappear in these jungle lands. No one finds them." Carla started crying. I was frozen. Then, they just let us go. "Go home, little tribe babies," one of them said. We rode like our lives depended on it. When we reached the village, we locked the doors and huddled on the floor. We never told a soul. Years later, I realized why they spared us. They thought we were actual tribal children. Had they known we were just dressed up, I probably wouldn't be here writing this. I used to work in forest maintenance in the Rocky Mountains. A bunch of us, guys aged 18 to late 30s, would head up into the high elevations to clear brush, build fire breaks, and harvest trees. It was hard work, but those trips were unforgettable. One trip, we were at about 9,200 feet. After a long day of chopping and hauling, someone suggested we head to the slope, a snow-covered clearing with a steep incline perfect for towing each other downhill on a rubber tube behind one of the gators. It was reckless, I know, but it was so damn fun. We cracked open some whiskey, built a fire, and started towing each other downhill at full speed. Jeff, the new guy, only 18, was our target for the wildest rides. We swung him close to trees, made sharp turns, just to mess with him. Around 1 a.m., as the fire was dying and the snow began to fall gently, Jeff freaked out. His face turned pale. He stuttered and couldn't get the words out, until he finally said, "I saw a man, in the woods, just standing there, watching." We didn't believe him at first. We were on private land, miles from anyone, but just in case we grabbed the rifles from the gators and searched. Nothing. No footprints. No sign anyone had been there. We chalked it up to paranoia, cold, and alcohol. Headed back to camp, but Jeff couldn't sleep. He kept repeating, "I saw him. I know I did." The next morning, we packed up and drove back toward town. Just as we were nearing the entrance to the property, we saw police cars, an ambulance. Turns out the neighbors found a body in a ditch. Police followed tracks back up, to the exact slope we had been at. Same man Jeff saw. Same time. Self-inflicted gunshot wound. They said it happened only minutes after Jeff's sighting. We still don't know what he wanted, or if he was dangerous. But if Jeff hadn't spoken up, we might have met him too. Back in 2015, I was 19 and still living in my parents' house in a small village in rural Germany. One of my closest friends lived just 2 streets away. We were secret smokers and had a ritual of late-night meetups to sit in the car, talk, and light one up. At some point, we got caught by a neighbor, so we moved our nightly routine out of town to a forested dirt road between villages. The new spot was perfect, quiet, dark, and oddly peaceful. We'd just sit with the windows cracked open, whispering and listening to the pure silence of the woods. One night, we parked like usual. No lights, engine off, just the soft glow of the car's onboard screen. I was mid-sentence when my eyes shifted to the passenger side mirror. There was a silhouette, a man, standing in the woods behind the car. I froze, didn't speak, didn't blink. Finally, I whispered to my friend, "There's someone behind us." She laughed, thought I was messing with her. But when I didn't laugh back, her face went serious. I said, "Drive, now." She started the car, turned it around 180 degrees, and as the headlights lit up the forest road, there he was, the man, standing just off the road, now closer. He turned sharply and ran into the woods. Vanished. What chilled me most wasn't just that he was real, but that he had moved. He was originally on the passenger side, but after we turned around, he was on what used to be the driver's side. Closer. He was approaching. We left fast. Didn't say much. Never went back. In 2016, my friends and I finally locked in a camping trip we'd been planning for months. Our destination? Los Padres National Park in Southern California. Just a few days before our departure, we learned an El Niño storm was going to sweep through the area. We didn't care. We packed up our gear and drove 45 minutes to the campground. It was a large, family-friendly site with over 100 lots surrounding a clearing in the forest. We chose a spot tucked under thick trees that might help shield us from the rain. Conveniently, the restrooms were just 30 yards away. We worked fast while the skies were still clear. I had brought a massive 30 by 30 foot blue tarp to throw over our tents to block the rain both above and below. We pitched our tents close, only 6 feet apart, so the tarp could cover both. It worked. Except the tarp crunched loudly with every step, especially at night. Later, we gathered around the fire. The campsite was eerily empty. Most people were sleeping in their RVs. The fake campers, we called them. In hindsight, maybe they were the smart ones. After a long day, I turned in early. My buddy Ray was in my tent, while AJ and S were in the other. Before sleeping, I decided to pull a prank. I whispered to Ray, then called AJ and S, using an unrestricted number, saying nothing, just breathing heavily into the phone. They freaked out. We couldn't stop laughing. I did it again. More panic. Eventually, S answered with a shaky voice and warned that if we kept calling, he'd involve the cops. That only made Ray and me laugh harder. We finally called it a night. I promised pancakes in the morning and fell asleep fast. The others stayed up a bit longer. By morning, I was the first up, flipping pancakes by the time the others crawled out of their tents. AJ looked exhausted. "Man," he said, "your prank went way too far last night." "Yeah," S added. "We were about to bolt to the car, and it wasn't just the calls. You walked around our tent and even came inside. That wasn't cool." I blinked. "What are you talking about?" They stared. "Stop messing around. You were the one circling the tent, touching the walls. You unzipped the door, dude." Ray cut in. "Wait, that wasn't you guys." They all went quiet. It turns out, after I passed out, someone had been walking circles around both tents, footsteps crunching across the tarp. The sound was deliberate, heavy, not an animal. Then, fingers brushed along the outside of the tent walls. The steps stopped, right between the two tent doors. There was a pause, deep silence. Then a zipper slid open. AJ and S saw the flap peel back halfway, too dark to make out details, but clear enough to see someone's face poking in. A man. They pretended to be asleep. The man watched them for what felt like forever. Then, without a word, he walked away. At breakfast, while we were still arguing over who it had been, a man approached our campsite. He looked like he hadn't bathed in days. Dirty gray t-shirt soaked with sweat, jeans stiff from filth. He reeked of alcohol. At 8 a.m. "Morning, boys," he croaked, his voice sandpapered from years of smoking. "Sleep well?" None of us answered. Then he asked if we had cigarettes. I told him no. He grinned, barely any teeth left, and added, "If you want to check out my RV, stop by any time." He walked off toward the restrooms. On his way back, he gave us that same dead smile. His RV was the only one that looked truly run down. It was parked just 50 yards away, with its own bathroom nearby. So why had he walked all the way to use ours? Around lunchtime, he came back, not to use the bathroom, but to talk again. "Any of you boys interested in buying an RV?" he slurred. "You can even go inside. Take a look." I didn't answer politely this time. I made it clear we weren't interested. Eventually, he left, a few hours before sunset, but the whole time he kept watching us. S and AJ later remembered smelling alcohol inside the tent. That confirmed it. This creep had been the one walking around while we slept. We never reported him, but we packed up early the next morning and never returned to that site again. Just a few weeks ago, my family took a trip to the Hocking Hills region of southern Ohio. I'd always wanted to visit the abandoned Moonville Rail Tunnel, a ghost town buried deep in the woods. We left from our rented cabin and followed GPS down a series of increasingly sketchy back roads. The deeper we went, the more isolated it became. Dirt roads, no cars, just trees and silence. Eventually, a wooden sign welcomed us to Bubblewood. My family was in the car, my husband, my 10-year-old non-verbal autistic son, and my 6-year-old daughter. We drove down a stony forest road, through thick, dark trees, until we found a small gravel parking lot. A footbridge marked the path to the tunnel. We crossed it, passing strange objects people had left behind. Old toys, broken locks, notes. The tunnel loomed ahead, far larger than I imagined. That's when we heard the engine. A pickup truck emerged from the darkness of the tunnel, grinding through the mud. It stopped. A man in his 60s got out. He had a chainsaw in his hand. He didn't say much, just walked with us. Everywhere. Through the tunnel, around the woods, never far behind. I tried to make small talk, asked if he worked for the Department of Natural Resources. He didn't answer, just mumbled. No cell service, no GPS. No one knew we were out there. Eventually, we turned back. As we walked out of the tunnel, he fired up the chainsaw behind us. The sound exploded in the echoing tunnel. My daughter screamed. We rushed back to the car, strapped the kids in, and got ready to leave. Then, he appeared again. His truck rolled over the footbridge, somehow, and he parked near us. This time he didn't speak, just stared, smiled, walked back to his RV. That's when I noticed the dusty handprints on the car. They didn't match